1 Samuel 28. In those days, the Philistines gathered their troops for war in order to fight Israel. Akish said to David, "You should fully understand that you and your men must go with me into battle." David replied to Akish, "That being the case, you will come to know that what your servant can do." Akish said to David, "Then I will make you my bodyguard from now on." Now Samuel died, and all Israel had lamented over him and had buried him in Ramah, his hometown. In the meantime, Saul had removed the mediums and magicians from the land. The Philistines assembled. They came and camped at Shunem. Saul mustered all Israel and camped at Gilboa. When Saul saw the camp of the Philistines, he was absolutely terrified. So Saul inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him, nor not by dream, nor by Urim, nor by the prophets. So Saul instructed his servants, "Find me a woman who is a medium, so that I may go to her and inquire of her." His servant replied to him, "There is a woman who is a medium in Endor." So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothing and left, accompanied by 2 of his men. They came to the woman at night and said, "Use your ritual pit to conjure up for me the one I tell you." But the woman said to him, "Look, you are aware that Saul has done. He has removed the mediums and magicians from the land. Why are you trapping me so that you can put me to death?" But Saul swore an oath to her by the Lord, "As surely as the Lord lives, you will not incur guilt in this matter." The woman replied, "Who is it that I should bring up for you?" He said, "Bring up Samuel." When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out loud. The woman said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." The king said to her, "Don't be afraid, but what have you seen?" The woman replied to Saul, "I have seen a divine being coming up from the ground." He said to her, "What about his appearance?" She said, "An old man is coming up. He is wrapped in a robe." Then Saul realized it was Samuel, and he bowed his face toward the ground and kneeled down. Samuel said to Saul, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Saul replied, "I am terribly troubled. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has turned away from me. He does not answer me any more, not by the prophets, nor by dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what I should do." Samuel said, "Why are you asking me, now that the Lord has turned away from you and has become your enemy? The Lord has done exactly as I prophesied. The Lord has torn the kingdom from your hand and has given it to your neighbor David. Since you did not obey the Lord and did not carry out his fierce anger against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this thing to you today. The Lord will hand you and Israel over to the Philistines. Tomorrow both you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also hand the army of Israel over to the Philistines." Saul quickly fell full length on the ground and was very afraid because of Samuel's words. He was completely drained of energy, having not eaten anything all that day and night. When the woman came to Saul and saw how terrified he was, she said to him, "Your servant has done what you asked. I took my life into my own hands and did what you told me. Now it's your turn to listen to your servant. Let me set before you a bit of bread so you can eat. When you regain your strength, you can go on your way." But he refused, saying, "I won't eat." Both his servants and the woman urged him to eat, so he gave in. He got up from the ground and sat down on the bed. Now the woman had a well-fed calf at her home that she quickly slaughtered. Taking some flour, she kneaded it and baked bread without leaven. She brought it to Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they arose and left that same night. All right, so in those days, the Philistines gathered their troops for war in order to fight against Israel. Akish said to David, "You should fully understand that you and your men must go to battle with me." David replied to Akish, "That being the case, you will get to know what your servant can do." Then he said, "I'll make you my bodyguard from now on." So if you remember, David has been living in the Philistine territory with his men. He got a city from King Akish of Gath, and he's been raiding non-Philistines and non-Israelites and making the claim that he's raiding the Israelites. And so now he's going to war, and he's like, "Hey, you got to go to war with me." And so David's like, "Cool, man. You'll get to see what I can do now." And then we jump back away from the story. So that story will continue again. But remember that when we get to the next section, that there's a section of him being put in position to do that. And now we're going to jump over to what's going on the Israelite side. So Samuel is dead, and Israel had lamented. We're being reminded of this. In the meantime, Saul had removed all the mediums and magicians in the land. So Saul is finally doing something right. He's gotten rid of the mediums and the magicians. So Samuel is dead, and he's finally cleaning up. It's one of these things where if you've ever had, your kids or when you were a kid told that, hey, if your room is cleaned, we're going to go to the beach. I'm just picking on something. We're going to go for ice cream, whatever. If your room is clean, we're going to go for ice cream after dinner or the beach, whatever it is, after lunch, and then your room's not clean. And so you're not going, and you're told you're not going, and then you go clean your room, and then you're like, "See, I cleaned my room," and you're like, "We're not going. It needed to be cleaned at this time. I'm glad you cleaned it now." But no, it had to be cleaned ahead of time in order to qualify. You don't qualify. So it's nice and all that Saul's finally doing something he should have been doing and should have done a long time ago. But too late. So the Philistines assembled, and they camped at Shunem. And Saul musters all of Israel's and camps at Gilboa. So they're camping, and Saul is finally doing something right. Yeah, I know. So Saul musters the army. Saul saw the camp of the Philistines. He was absolutely terrified. So Saul inquired of the Lord. So again, Saul is going to do the right thing. He often didn't inquire of the Lord. He acted. He was impulsive. He was impatient. Here he inquires of the Lord, but the Lord doesn't answer him. Not by dream, nor by the Urim, nor by the prophet. So the Urim and the Thummim are devices that are used to ask, inquire of God, and get answers. We don't know exactly how they worked, but one of the thoughts is that it could have been you ask yes, no questions, and it gives you an answer. Could be one of those kinds of ways that it does it. If there's two things, they could have done different things, but if they were similar, like two yeses equal something, two no's equal something, a yes and a no is no answer. So if it's that, it could still be no answer. He doesn't answer whatever the question is. It always comes up with, "It is unclear." If you want to go with Magic 8 Ball, it is unclear. It is uncertain. So Saul's getting no answer. The part that's weird now. Okay, so he cleans up the mediums. He finally does something right. And now he's trying to inquire of God. He's doing something right. But look how easily and fickle he is to go and do something different. So find me a woman who's a medium, so I may go to her and inquire of her. So he's cleaned up the mediums, and then he's like, "Find me a medium." Seriously, bud? You clean these up. Why would you go to one? So anyway, they find one, a medium at Endor. You may hear this in other stories referred to as the witch in Endor, or the witch of Endor. And yes, Endor is where the Ewoks are. So not related in any way to this woman. She wasn't an Ewok. In case anyone wondered, just clearing that up. So Saul disguises himself, puts on other clothes, brings two men. He goes to her, And yet it says, use your ritual pit to conjure up for me the one I tell you to. So this is an interesting procedure that he is inquiring of her to do. As we look at some other people that are encountered, some of them are using more divination practices of killing an animal, reading entrails, or they're connecting to the spiritual realm and having messages relayed, or some might have a possession thing take over. This is conjure someone up. So this is different. So use a ritual pit to conjure someone up. So don't know how widespread this was, but Saul has a specific thing he wants in mind. He wants to talk directly to Samuel. The woman says, look, aren't you aware of Saul has done? He's removed all the mediums and magicians in the land. Why are you trapping me so you could put me to death? So, like, you're trying to trap me. Like, no. You know, Saul said we can't do this. And then Saul swears by an oath by the Lord. Okay, I want to go look that up. So 1 Samuel 28, by the Lord, verse 10. Yeah, Yod He Vav He. So by God, by Yod He Vav He. Wow. So, like, again, there is the, does Saul fully follow God? I think the answer is clearly no. Does he follow him at all? I don't know that he does, but here he is invoking God's name to someone who is practicing divination, medium. Would this be the right name to swear by? However, he does indeed swear by. And so then she's all right. You know, you're going to live. You won't incur guilt in this matter. Who is it that I should bring up for you? So bring me up Samuel. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out loud. Okay, in a great voice. The woman said to Saul, you've deceived me. You are Saul. The king said, don't be afraid. But what have you seen? The woman replied, I have seen a divine being. I have seen gods. The modified participle translated coming up is plural, suggesting the underworld spirits are the referent. But in the following verse, Saul understands the plural word to refer to a singular being. The reference is to the spirit of Samuel. So we have something that's really odd in Scripture here. We have a woman connecting to those who are dead. It seems from the actions to actually be Samuel. When we go read through, so if it is in any way a spirit that is deceiving Saul and pretending to be Samuel, it still gives all the answers that we would think Samuel would. So that leads it to be, there's no reason for us to not believe this is Samuel. What is going on here? So one of the ways of thinking about this is there's an overlap between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. And time is not the same in the spiritual realm as it is in the physical realm. So they talk about it and use the description of going down to Sheol, going down to the underworld, going down in that manner. So then to come from there, from the realm of the dead, is to come up. So we're only using it in geography sense of location to location, from down to up. That's how we talk about it. We don't have to absolutely think it's in the ground, though that's how they map it out in their mind. And we do too. Heaven is up, it's above, so we do that. So, we inherit that. Anyway, it's Samuel. It is a divine being. Why? Because he's from the spiritual realm and he has no body. Therefore, that would make him a divine being, from the sense of he is not have a corporeal form. He doesn't have a physical body. He's coming up from the ground. Anyway, I think that's enough on that. What about his appearance? An old man is coming up. He is wrapped in a robe. Doesn't sound very descriptive to me. However, Saul says, it is Samuel. So he bowed his face to the ground and kneeled down. So he's bowing down to give honor to Samuel. Samuel says to Saul. So apparently Saul can't hear him. The medium was only needed to conjure him up. Now that he is there, Saul can hear him. Don't know if he can see him, but he must be able to hear him. Why did you disturb me by bringing me up? I was terribly troubled. The Philistines are against me, and God has turned away from me. Yeah, I already know all that. God doesn't answer me anymore, not by prophet nor by dream. So I have called on you to tell me what I should do. You should die. That's what you should do. You should just, give in. Why are you asking me now that God has turned his back on you and become your enemy? The Lord has done exactly as I prophesied. Like, dude, why don't you ever pay attention? I told you this would happen. The Lord has torn the kingdom from your hands, and he has given it to your neighbor David. Since you did not obey the Lord and did not carry out his fierce anger against the Amalekites. Remember, he took all of the sheep. They looked pretty good. He brought the king back. He didn't kill the king. The Lord has done this thing to you this day. The Lord will hand you and Israel over to the Philistines. Tomorrow, both you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also hand the army of Israel over to the Philistines. So, the exception of the Lucian and the Septuagint, and tomorrow you and your sons will fall. So instead of be with me, they will fall. Okay, same difference. Saul quickly fell full length on the ground and was very afraid. So now he's laying on the ground, completely terrified, having no strength because he had eaten no food all day and all of the night. So the woman tries to get him up. Your servant has done what you said. I took my life in my own hands. I did what you said. Now it's your turn to listen to your servant. So she's trying to hedge her bets to try and make the best of this because she knows it's Saul. She like, hey, I did what you said. I did what you said. I know it didn't turn out the way you wanted, but I did what you said. Oh, and let me help you. Let me help you regain your strength so you can go on your way. Here's some food. She doesn't want him to die in her tent. He refuses. Again, another issue. Saul is committed to something until he's not. Both the servants and the women urged him to eat, so he gave in. He gave in. Like, okay, you didn't stand really strong on that one, did you, either? So she got up, and she goes and kills the fatted calf. She has a calf available, ready, and she's going to. Well, it's the king, too. So she uses it, slaughters it, makes some bread without leaven. Interesting. And then gives it to him, and then he arises and leaves. So there's only almost a little bit of a level of, there's a fatted calf, so it doesn't fit the sheep or goats, and then unleavened bread, so doing it in haste, all of that stuff.